after 5 years of training, and I think this was brought up also on the Brains and Gains podcast that you did with Dave McConey, I believe you say his last name.
Yep.
And I thought this was interesting. I wanted to bring it up. After 5 years of training, pretty much your gains are done. And assuming you're doing things with the appropriate amount, like the appropriate progression, right? Like you're doing things correctly. Yeah. So 5 years was kind of like the number, I guess. But what do you think about that? Like, do you think after 5 years of appropriate progression, even though that might take you 10 years, depending on if you're, fooling around and whatnot.
Yes.
Do you think that's important to mention, but do you think that that is a legitimate way to go to look at things? Because for me, it's like, hey, that's demotivating.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm like, why would I want to even buy into that? Because also we don't have that as a confirmed fact anyway. So why would you buy in? So what do you think about my thought process there? And for the listeners tuning in, because you hear that on another podcast and you think, oh, 5, that's it. What's the point of continuing? That's how people might start thinking. And it's like, we don't have that as a confirmed fact.
Yeah.
So why even give into that whole thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Why limit your even your mindset or your thinking if that's what you're buying into, right? Because I mean, shoot, why would anybody do anything beyond 5 years when it comes to weightlifting if that was the case, right?
Right.
I'm hardly ever do I think black and white. Do I think that that's absolutely true or that's absolutely false? There's all this grayscale, and maybe 5 years is kind of like maybe the average of when your gains are going to stop, but some people could milk that for 12, and maybe other people slow way down at 3. We have seen. I mean, we've coached arguably thousands of clients, and we've seen kind of like non-responders to weight training, where it's just kind of like they don't seem to grow after about 3 to 5 years, and if they do, it's a very long, arduous process, right? But anecdotally, this is what I kind of see. Let's look at Alberto right now.
Yes.
Look at how much I cannot get over how much his physique has changed since the last time that he competed. It's the first time that I've actually seen Berto with like a thick, blocky waist. I have never seen that on Alberto. And there's a lot of that to me. It just looks like he looks so much more just muscular in like his muscles that are deep in his pelvis, like the psoas muscles, and the internal oblique muscles and all those. It just looks so much different than it used to. His back just looks it almost looks like a turtle shell, that's kind of mounted on the back of his on his back basically. And so I think that is a good kind of an example of an outlier there, right? But then also, I look at football players, and not only, I guess more so young football players that are in colleges. The other day, we had my son is a football player. He plays in junior college.
Okay.
He had an acquaintance that went to the same college that he did, Butte College, and got a Division I scholarship to Fresno State. Played 2.5 years at Fresno State, maybe 3 years. He saw him the other day. He's visiting in town at summertime, and my son Xander saw him go into the gym. And I mean, this is a kid that's been training since, who knows? I mean, these kids they start training in Pop Warner football when they're in the 8th, 9th, 7th grade sometimes, right? And he's always been a big kid. I mean, he's well over 6 feet, plays tight end, arguably, I mean, I don't even know now, but Xander saw him as like he could not get over how much bigger this guy was. Just huge compared to what he was when he went to Butte College and Fresno State, And these are guys too that if you think about it, Kenny, they're not dieting. They care not about calories and their aesthetics and etc. Everything that they do is so that they're a better football field on the player, or a better football player.
Yeah, I know what you got.
Listen to what I mean, not what I say. So yeah, and you see that a lot. Offensive linemen, they graduate college, they're huge. They're 6'3", they're 290, pounds. They're in the pros, they're 6'3" and they're 330, they're 340, And yeah, sure, you could say that that's all fat, but there ain't no way that you're lifting and gaining weight and not gaining some muscle,
Right.
So just a lot of that anecdotal, to me. Look at Brian Whitaker. I mean, there's a guy that was a world-class athlete, world-class bodybuilder genetics. And you looked at him when he won the Yorton Cup, when he won the WNBF World Championship, he looked dramatically different, specifically with him and his legs, compared to previous years when he won world champions. So, yeah, I'm never going to, like I said, I'm never going to be black and white, but I'm not really buying into that, myself. I think you got to train smart. I think you got to make sure that it's not so much, thinking of week to week progression or even month to month progression, but just kind of be smart about your training to where you're progressing in some way, shape, or form, even if it's once a year, whether it be 1 rep maxes, or you can do, arguably a little bit heavier weight with 3 sets of 10, or the same weight. Now you can do 3 sets of 12, just little things like that. As long as you're staying in the game and thinking long term over your career, and not this week to week type of stuff that people a lot of times tend to get kind of trapped into. I think the potential is there. And then it's just a matter of, like you said earlier, the cards that you were dealt, what your mom and God gave you to maximize that potential, Because the thing about lifting is it is a skill. And how many people are out there that have tremendous physiques, but yet they can't squat, they can't deadlift, they don't have the coordination for it. For lack of a better term, they sometimes look like a monkey humping a football when they're trying to squat a barbell.